Thank you so much for coming. I'm very happy to share with you my artistic journey tonight. Thank you so much, Huda, Art Cafe, and Art Cafe team for your effort to make this talk happen this evening. I will start to read a text that I wrote for this event tonight. So I'll just start by reading it, then I will go on with my talk. He is floating weightless in the deep water of the most beautiful underwater scene. His face is so relaxed, enjoying being immersed in this magical world. He is looking at the dance of life in this fairy tale-like world with dreamy eyes that get suddenly filled with excitement when seeing the beautiful, colorful underwater creature floating, gliding on a rainbow of lights in very harmonious moves, as if they were performing a dance. The seaweeds join them in this magical dance, and they lovingly merge together. He is there, floating weightless in the turquoise transparent water, breathing the freshness of the water, seeing through the transparency the forms and colors. Suddenly, he's transported into space with his underwater magical world, and he finds himself in the middle of gravitational waves in a weightless, secure state in the middle of those wonders. He is watching, first surprised, then amazed, the fairy tale-like underwater world and the space with its gravitational waves, weightlessness and peace merge together and give birth to a magical underwater world in the middle of space. That is a glimpse of the perfect world humans thrived since their existence, a fairy tale-like world, a pattern that led us today to embrace social media. In my work, I was very interested in two topics, social problems and social media. And throughout the talk, I will be showing some of the works for these two topics. My interest in social problems came very early. It was so intriguing that social problems still exist today. We always hear talks about people being abused, about famine, about people being killed in war. And since the signing of Human Rights Declaration 60 years ago, until now, we still find that violations happen every day in every part of the world. We all see these pictures of kids dying because they cannot get what to eat. We all see pictures of women abused, of sexual abused people, of human trafficking. And this is getting too much for our system. Our human nature cannot bear this amount of emotions, of brutality we are seeing. So normally, as a human reaction, people are developing ways to cope with all these atrocities. One of the ways people are using, one of the normal ways, is to try to ignore these social problems that are happening, and they became kind of invisible for us. One of the specific topics of social problems that particularly interest me is war. Why war? War because it comes from my personal experience. I'm Lebanese. I was born in Lebanon. I lived my childhood in Lebanon, in a country that was not only political unstable in that time, but was an active war. So can you imagine a child being there in the middle of bombs going on, in the middle of such insecurity, not being able to be safe, not feeling comfortable in its environment? So normally that was too much for me as a child to handle as war-related emotions that were so intense. The fear, the anger, the fact that I wasn't able to go to school and come back do my homework as every normal child in the world can do. So all these emotions, all these feelings naturally, as any human being, had to be contained somewhere. So I developed some self-defense mechanism to cope with all the stress coming from these strong emotions of the war. And my personal coping mechanism was to dream. So I was dreaming of this magical fairy tale world where my guardian angel would come and take me away from this unsecure state, environment from the threat I was living every day in my house, waiting for a bomb, a blast to kill me and kill my family. So I was there with my guardian angel, living the perfect life where everything is safe, where I can live normally as any kid. So this is the way I coped with those intense emotions related to a war zone. And these feelings, of course, with time disappear. They didn't completely disappear, but they faded down. They were hiding in my system, waiting to wake up. And lately, in neighboring countries, there was so many political instabilities, and there was a war going on. And seeing all the media talking about the war, about the displaced people, about the camp for refugees, made all these emotions that were hidden in my system merge again. So they were here as strong as they were when I was a child. And in this work, you can see all the aggressivity, all the emotions related to war zone that are here, the emotions related to anger of not being able to support its family, the fear of not being able to put your family in a safe environment, the pain of a mother who lost her child. So all these strong emotions, as in my childhood, I created those those guardians, those angels that used to take me away from the war. Here, I imagined those souls that can come and comfort and temper the pain of those abused people, from the brutality of the war. The same, the use of the colors, the blue trying to overrule the red, the aggressivity of the red, and the sad and very painful facial expression of the face you see here. So that was about the war. Then I decided to look, I was more aware of what was happening around me. I live in a country that, as you know, many subjects are taboo. And one of the subjects that's starting to be less taboo, and we started talking about it, and people starting to tell stories about it, was abuse. We all know that there have been always abuse in the world, but now I started hearing about it more. Medias are talking about it. There's stories of women that have been abused, children that have been abused. So there's some organization emerging that take care of these abused people. And what interests me the most is the psychological state of these abused people, how they cope with this brutality, with this aggressivity they are living every day from their abuser. So they try to develop self-defense mechanisms. They cope with this aggressivity, with the stress, by always trying to, or having the hope of running away or of fleeing this situation of aggressivity and living in a peaceful world, safe world, where they are treated as a human being, where their soul is intact, where they are not hurt every day. So these self-mechanisms that were developed were very interesting for me to see how they cope with their stress. And I wanted the viewer to experience direct eye contact. And since I'm fascinated with faces, so the face represents the abused person, and you cannot not dive into the eyes. There's some magnetic that attracts you into his eyes, and you see that you want to get in, and you can see that there's plenty of stories he wants to tell you. He wants to talk about his or her sorrow, about his or her way of life that is destroying her, that is just not her humanity that is disappearing because she's being maltreated, or she's being just, there's no justice for her. But as well as those sorrow stories, you can as well see a light in the eyes, a light of hope, a light of this magical fairy tale world she's thriving for. She wants to go there to flee the brutality, the aggressivity of her everyday life and go to her fairy tale like with her Prince Charming and live a life where she is respected, where she gets back her soul and her humanity. So these conflicting emotions, sad and happy, sad and thriving for some hope, are creating like an electroshock. And these conflicting emotions exist as well by the brush strokes and the palette knife technique that is used here in some places of the painting of the work, where you can see aggressive strokes, and in some other places some fluffy light strokes, weightless, like the thrive of this person for a happy fairy tale like world. And the colors that are used are so mixed, like dark and bright colors, like the mixed emotions lived by abused people. So this was my journey around social problems, but it didn't stop here. At a certain point, I wanted to look around to see what's happening in the world, because it wasn't just about me, my country, and what's happening around me. I went to a bigger scale. I wanted to see today, in 2018 or 2017, last year, what was happening in this world. And I just saw social media. Social media that was, since it started, it was so quickly embraced by humans. Very fast, everybody was on social media. Even the children, they have social media, they are so addict, and people are loving the social media effect, because it gives them this immersive experience they are looking for to live this perfect life they are thriving to, and try to cope with everyday stress, with everyday's brutality, with everyday's images that might be aggressive for their system. So they embraced social media. It's a happy place. I think everybody here is on social media. I am on social media too, and I had an experience on social media. So it's a place where you can pretend to be whomever you want. It's completely virtual. It's completely an illusion. It's not the real life. Somebody can live somebody else's life, pretend to be someone else, pretend to do another job, do whatever they want. People can do whatever they want on this virtual world. But this virtual world is very harmless as well, because being in this wonderful world, and we are not just imagining it, we are living inside this world. Everything we do, we put it on Facebook or on other social media platform. So we are living this illusion, and when we get back to real life and we find out that we are actually, we are not in this happy life. This is all a lie. This is all something we created for us to protect us, just to pretend to be happy and pretend to have the perfect life we thrive for. So we created this image we wanted everybody to see about us. Then we wake up to in the real life, and we see that something else is happening. There is bad things happening. There is a life that is not perfect. There's black and white. And this is so depressing for a person to wake up in a world when she was living a dream, a very happy fairy tale-like dream on social media. And when I was searching for information and I was surfing on the social media platforms to see, I made this relation. It took me back to the Greek theater in the Greek civilization. It took me back that way. Greeks, when they started with the play. They used the Greek theater to give some message to their citizen. And there is so much similarities in the strategies used in the Greek theater and the strategies that we are using today with social media. Like, for instance, one of the characteristics of the Greek theater is the no aggressive visual. Non-aggressive visual. So in the Greek plays, there was no aggressivity in the plays. The scenes that have killing or stabbing or murder, they was narrated. It wasn't an aggressive visual. And the same is happening today in the social media. The continuous embellishing of reality. We are making reality look beautiful. We are making the reality look perfect. One other thing I found in the Greek theater that is very similar to what's happening in social media is the use of mask. In the Greek theater, they used to, the actors put masks in their face. They don't show their personal emotions. It's just the mask, and the mask have facial expression for comic plays or for dramatic plays. The actor doesn't show his personal emotion, and it's a way as well to pretend to be someone else, to live somebody else's life. And the same is happening in social media today. When we are pretending to be someone else, we are creating this illusion of a life where we create whatever we want, and we become whoever we want to be. One more thing, in the Greek theater was the drama of the rich people. It was a strategy used by the rulers and the rich in the by the Greeks to control the citizens. The citizens were revolting because they thought the rich was like living the perfect life. And rulers and rich people wanted to control the mass and control the citizens by letting them think that the rulers are not happy. They don't have that ideal happy life. Their life is, and their destiny is dramatic. So this was the way to contain the mass. And the same thing is happening with us. In the 20th century, there was all this awareness of this individual, awareness of the person, the loudly expressing our emotions, the liberty of expressing ourselves, the human rights, the women's rights, the children's rights, labor rights, etc., etc. And all this awareness became so overwhelming that it needed to be contained. And social media is a perfect way to contain the mass. And you see here this polished, beautiful face, just a mask, no expression, nothing but beautiful and shiny, that is spreading all over the environment, taking all over the orange portrait, the orange face, real face that's next to it. And this orange face, as ugly as it is beautiful. It's here. There's some expression. You can see the muscles that are activating our natural way to express our emotions. You can see all the muscles working. And this face that is here, that is saying, I don't want to fade away. I don't want to lose my humanity. I want to be here. I want to stay here. I refuse to be part of this environment of blindness. I want to stay aware of what's happening in reality. I want to stay human. And one of my latest work, as well in social media, that actually is inspired by my experience. When first social media got launched, everybody wanted to be up to date, to have to use the social media platform, and me as well. So I was there on social media on different platforms, trying to stay up to date, trying to keep up with all what's happening around me, with all the posts that are there, trying to keep up because it has to be fast, fast, fast. And you all know the pace of social media. It's like You get like 50 notifications, and you have to just look at all the posts and react to all the posts and like all the posts, or comment or share. So it became so time consuming at a certain point that I was doing nothing but other than looking at my screen first, when when smartphones weren't very popular, and now on my screen on my smartphone. So all I'm doing is keeping up, posting, liking, commenting, sharing, and using whatever switch there is on the social media platform. And I had accounts in different platforms, so I have to switch from platform to another to be sure not to miss anything. And it was so time consuming, so stressful at a certain point. It was taking all my time, and I wasn't able to concentrate on other things. And that's what's happening with social media. And this is why it interests me, because it's an interest for a lot of people. So I was there, and I decided to, since I'm fascinated with faces, and to go research social media faces. So I went to social media and tried to look closely to these faces that are there. And while looking, I saw that there was some pattern that social media followers have to be conformed to. Like two things, like for example, continuously editing, polishing, embellishing the pictures. So that's what everybody does. We as soon as we get a picture, we have to edit it. We fix it with any application we have. We make it more beautiful. We change things. So we make it perfect. And that's what we are all doing. But to a certain extent, it is leading us to all be alike and live alike. Like, I'm sure now it's dinner time, so now if we open some social media, we will see photographs of plates with the food inside, with a very nice decoration, very nice design. So we are all doing the same things, and we are losing our own personality. As well, another thing is that we have to be very highly active on social media. To be accepted in this global community, to be part of it, we have to react fast. Like for instance, if we have a message, we have to be the first to like it, the first to comment or to share it. And when we have loads of posts and we have to look at them all in a fast way, and you know, every post gives you an emotion. When you see a sad post, normally, if it's a normal situation in real life, you would feel some emotion, some sadness about the situation that is there. Like when I see a very poor child that can't find water to hydrate, this will give me some sad emotions inside. But when I see it on a post, and I have 45 other posts to go through and to comment on, or to like, or to share, that doesn't give me enough time. So I stop feeling. I'm shutting down my emotional system. And a human being normally cannot go through so many emotions so fast. It's not possible for me to be happy, then sad, then jump of happiness, then crying, then hugging in a fraction of a second. So to protect ourselves from this emotional aggressivity, because we are bombarded by some aggressivity with our emotion, our system cannot bear that much emotions going on in a small pace of time. So we are trying to cope. And we developed, of course, ways of coping or self-defense mechanism by shutting our emotional system down. We stop feeling. We are just blank, nothing. We use nothing of our normal human muscles that usually express our face-to-face emotion, because when we feel an emotion, usually we react with our face. We feel sad, our muscles move, we have a facial expression. This facial expression is reduced to crust, nothing, we are not using it, we are not using our emotions, we only use our finger because we are just clicking on the pre-designed emotion that we have on the social media, emoticons or emojis, that represent an emotion that we might have felt if it was in real life situation, and we click on it, we share it, we post it, and we pass on to the other post. And this emoticon, as harmless as it seems, is leading us to emotionlessness. We are losing our human natural characteristic, our emotions. And it's not an emotion, it's a pre-designed idea. And when I say that, I think about Magritte. I think you all know the surrealist Magritte, the artist that painted the pipe, and a very realistic painting of the pipe. And then he wrote, "This is not a pipe. It's a representation, it's an image of the pipe." Same for emoticons. This is not an emotion. If I'm using this switch, if I'm clicking on this emoticon, it doesn't mean that this is an emotion. This is just an image. And it's leading us to lose our humanity. And you can see the eyes, they are shutting down. Nothing, they are fading away. The face is disappearing. It's fading away in its environment of virtual reality, of emotionlessness. And the skin is shrinking. It's all shrinking, trying to fight back, trying to say, I want to survive, I want to reactivate my emotions. And this is leading us to completely lose one part of our humanity. While I was surfing and searching the social media faces, I tried to look at these, to appreciate those polished faces that we can see every day, every time on social media. I tried to look at them closely, but all I could see is shrinkable faces trying to react to this state that we are in, trying to revive, reactivate all our facial muscles, our natural way to express our human emotions. I hope you enjoyed my journey. I hope you did. And I would like to thank you so much.